Well, welcome. Bracco here. Please hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and share. Now, if you're new to this channel was launched to look into the choosing on whether or not it was safe and secure. Now, we've covered other topics, but that's pretty much been the main focus of this channel. Now, before we get into today's content, I wanted to say thanks to those that introduced us to the information in regards to the Speaker of the House and how that all works. And I can confirm that, yep, you don't have to be elected to the House to be the Speaker of the House. You're actually appointed or elected by those members that were elected by their constituents. Now, it is true, according to House.gov, that all the Speakers of the House were actually elected officials by their constituents that were elected or appointed by the House members. So anyhow, now we got that cleared up. We have breaking news out of Arizona. We had a FOIA request that was put in by the AZ Alliance Group, and what was in that FOIA request? We'll stick around and we'll get into it. Newly released emails that We the People AZ Alliance obtained through public records request shows Maricopa County's negligence and complete disregard for election security. In an email chain from July 2021, Maricopa County Elections Director Ray Valenzuela and Assistant Director discussed transaction logs supposedly used to look for internet connectivity in the elections server. In an email from Director Valenzuela to a Renee Salva, it reads, Renee, SLI and ProVNV reviewed all transaction logs of each tabulator and the server to validate every step to validate that they never connected to the internet. Do we have these logs created by these TOW vendors when they did their review? The email continues. There is discussion as to providing those logs to show there was no connection by any of our BTC equipment. If you can expedite a reply since we are in session now and has been asked. About 8 minutes later, a reply from Renee to Director Valenzuela comes back saying, Hi Ray, I was not there during the audits, so I do not know if they specifically saved logs like those you described. I do know that the thumb drives of the information they collected are all in the vault. Brian Ramirez would probably know. I will check with him. Thanks, Renee. Within another 8 minutes, Ray responds back to Renee, saying, Hopefully he calls back soon, since it's a question being asked right now by the board in session. They want to know if we have those logs used by either or both of the VSTLs to be able to prove to the Senate auditors. 12 minutes later, Renee responds back to Ray in an email. So I just spoke with Charles on the phone. He, Brian, and Bruce are all together in the BTC offices right now. They said that we don't have anything like that saved on the thumb drives that they used, but that the ProVNV report that was released confirms that we were never connected to the internet. That is all we have. 10 minutes later, Ray responds back to Renee in an email. But there were logs pulled and looked at to verify no connectivity. Having the ProVNV and SLI reporting saying, trust us, we looked at the logs, is not enough to say to the Senate auditors. They would need to capture the logs to review, so what we want is those exact logs they pulled. Do we have a contact information for those two vendors to see if they have a copy of the pulled logs they reviewed? Ray's email ends with, if they do not, then next is we can load the election and pull the logs anew. Do not do that, as I am just asking in case it is indeed called for by the board to hand over the logs. And 3 minutes later, Renee responds back to Ray in an email. Yes, I believe the logs are there. We just need to take a look. I'll talk to Bruce, but I think the best would be to pull anew. So as we can ascertain by reviewing these emails, it appears that Mr. Valenzuela was in a little bit of a panic, and perhaps the Board of Supervisors. Well, this makes sense because they've been fighting for months not to have to release the routers, not to have to release the plunk logs and all the network information and components. Well, the good news is the AZ Alliance Group has turned over this evidence to Attorney General Mark Brnovich, who's conducting the criminal investigation in regards to this Arizona choosing. So we'll see how this turns out, but that's all I have for now. Until my next video, God bless.